Hello, Inglorious Review viewers. We are back, or I am back for that matter. As you see, there is a bit of a different setup this season, or if you want to call it just another round of videos. The situation is that me and Becky are in two different areas for the time being, so we have decided that I will be doing the Flash and she will be doing the Arrow. So with that out of the way, sorry for having this video a bit late. Had some technical problems with our previous video. So, with a Flash, good episode for that matter. We had the introduction to an actual fight between the two primary villains of the Flash, Heatwave and Captain Code, also two primaries of the Rogue Gallery. Before we get to the Rogue Gallery, which I think is the main part of this episode here, I'll talk about a little about some of the other parts. First of all, we have Caitlin, who ends up being the damsel in distress instead of Iris this time around, which is nice. She doesn't really seem scared either, which is quite interesting. And I think anybody would be scared if Captain Code or Mr. Heatwave, came up to me, froze my car, which didn't seem to take too much damage, they didn't whack it or anything, and locked me up with what seemed to be a high explosive with a tripwire. Next thing, with that tripwire, that was a long delayed tripwire. Cisco had, or kept, Detective West had a good 5 minutes to see that tripwire go off, noticed it, and get Caitlin out of the way. I think they should have quickened that up, probably, to make it more realistic. Plus, with Cisco, with Detective West, you think Detective West would be like, hey, look out for tripwires and explosives. They probably have it rigged. But there's none of that. So, besides that, and then let's see what else we have. We have, let me think here, in a couple days. Let's see. We've got Iris and Eddie Thane moving in, so that's nice. That whole awkward situation between Barry and Iris is still there, but it's, fading, which is nice. Hopefully Barry grabs on, maybe has a different interest. I was hoping it would be Caitlin, but she's going after Firestorm still, which is another thing we find out in this episode. I thought they were just going to maybe reintroduce him again, maybe when he's fighting another character coming later, but I guess they're trying to pursue his origins now, which is quite interesting. So we'll have another um, character of different origins. It seems like he maybe not part of the explosion at Star Labs as we expected before. He's part of a genetic experiment, so we'll see where that goes. Let's see. I think that covers most of it. No, we have Dr. Wells and Cisco helping the police, which is nice. Actually, putting a hand out, making things not so much like a quasi-enemy, frenemy thing going on. That's good. Though I feel like we made them the shields, the code, to get rid of the code, and that would defeat the purpose of the heat. So when they battle, Captain Code and Heatwave the first time, Code would have worked out and just would have melted their shields. But that's me. I find it. Let's see. Okay, so back to the rogues now, which I think is the largest part of this. We have Captain Code and Heatwave, two very atomic characters. They're not metahumans, but they tend to be Flash's greatest enemies, especially Captain Code. I think it's probably because besides having a code gun, which freezes the Flash, we can't do too much about that. And the Flash hasn't learned to vibrate his molecules or anything like that in previous comics, as he does. Leonard Snart is probably one of the smarter Flash, one of the more thinker villains for the Flash. So we see Heatwave and Captain Code. Captain Code has his gear on, the hoodie and what I want to call it, like the Eskimo wearing and the glasses, which is nice. But they don't have a costume for Heatwave yet, which is kind of disappointing. But if you look at the comics, it's not flattering. He just looks like a big guy in a costume with kind of a flame costume on, with goggles. let's see here. We have just talking about the rogues. At the end of the episode, you know how Snart is always like, "I'm planning things," and Heatwave doesn't like that too much. At the end of the episode, we see break out of the prison, or the prison van for that matter, and we see a lady at the end, and I'm gonna say that's Golden Glider, which is Lisa Snart, which is Leonard Snart's sister, also part of Rogue Gallery. So we see three people in the Rogue Gallery. How many they're gonna put together, I'm not sure. And then we also have, here's more sneak peeks. At the end of that episode, we see the Pied Piper, who uses sound, sonic sound, as his weapon against the Flash. So he's another Rogue Gallery man. And if there's a second preview, if you caught it, of another woman who moves really fast, her catchline is like, "Oh, nobody's been able to keep up with me like that." And I'm thinking that's Peekaboo. Peekaboo can teleport in and out. So, and she's also part of the Rogue Gallery, not the first round or the original Rogue Gallery, but an extension of it. So we'll have potentially Captain Cold, Heatwave, Pied Piper, Peekaboo, and the Golden Glider. We also see other Rogue Gallery members. Captain Boomerang, who is on the Arrow. They could slide him over if they want a full Rogue Gallery. The Trickster, they could put in. I mean, if they can pull off Weather Wizard, who was also part of the Rogue Gallery. They could also introduce Mirror Master and the Top and Abracadabra. Those, I mean, you could make them like a 10-person Rogue Gallery against Flash. I think that's overdoing it. But right now, they have those four. Captain Code, Heatwave, Golden Glider, Peekaboo. One more with Pied Piper may just do maybe the Trickster too. So they have 6 people. I think that would be fun. It'd be good to see the Flash actually have an actual, hard-on battle. I mean, this one was fun, but it was almost too simple. I mean, all they did was, they crossed the heat and fire beams, and, they bounce off each other, and they knock them out. Kind of anticlimactic. I would hope, maybe somebody would freeze somebody, or somebody would melt somebody, but I guess not. I think that's the end of my review for the Flash episode. I think it was good. Sorry for this late review here. As a side note, if you watched The Arrow, please check out Becky's episode on the review of that episode. I think it was put up yesterday, if you have not already. On a second side note of that one, in The Arrow, we have more of an introduction to the Atom, Black Canary, and I have to down here. Yes. So as I said before, as a side note, if you watched the Arrow episodes, if Becky didn't mention it earlier, we have introductions to the Atom, more the Black Canary, and a guy named Breck, which I'm not too sure about, but he can take a bullet to the head, so he must be pretty hard-headed. Either way, I will see you all next week for the other review of the next Flash episode. So continue to view our episodes or reviews for that matter. Leave comments. If we can improve on anything, please tell us. We'd like to hear from you. So I will see you next week.